Sometimes people mistakenly believe that the Judaism we know today is the Judaism that has always been. As if on Mount Sinai the Jewish people were encamped according to their denomination: Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, etc. Of course, that is not the case. While there have always been different sects of Judaism, different styles of practice, and different levels of commitment, the denominational arrangement as we know it today is fairly modern. For most of Jewish history, the names and labels we use today to describe different Jewish denominations would be entirely foreign. Observance levels differed throughout our history, and there were also cultural differences, such as Ashkenaz and Sephardi. But organized movements that differed on the very nature of observance and practice were far less common. How did today's tripartite division of Judaism, the three largest denominations being Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform, come to be? In many ways, it was a product of our freedom. Most of Jewish history was lived under an adversarial government. Rabbinic roles needed government approval, and Jews were not free to organize on their own. America changed the equation. Freedom of religion offered a new challenge for the Jewish people: choice. And the American story has been one where the Jewish community has tried to figure out how to balance freedom and commitment, individuality and community. Can a unified Jewish people withstand the gifts of freedom? Abraham Karp, in his book Jewish Continuity in America, points to the year 1840 as the first time different Jewish communities consciously put aside their very real differences and joined together for a common cause. Following the Damascus affair, a notorious blood libel in which the Jews of Damascus were falsely accused of murdering a Christian monk, the different communities in America tried to create unity in support of the Jews of Damascus. Participation in a common cause, Karp writes, that so excited the emotions brought the scattered and disparate elements of the American Jewish community together in a communion of spirit and concern. As is often the case, persecution was still the driving force of Jewish unity. But what else binds the Jewish people? Or, more poignantly, how should different denominations look toward one another? Is the "we are all right" of pluralism the only answer? Is there another framework that allows Jews to remain deeply committed to their form of practice while still acknowledging the contributions of other communities? Samuel J. Friedman, in his book Jew versus Jew: The Struggle for the Soul of American Jewry, compares the trajectory of American Jewish practice to jazz music. He writes, "From the 1900s through the 1970s, jazz was revolutionized by waves of innovation. Swing replaced New Orleans style, bebop replaced swing, modal jazz replaced bebop, free jazz replaced modal. In the process, every rule of melody, harmony, and rhythm was shattered. And then, looking up from the wreckage, musicians realized that there was nothing left to rebel against. They could only turn in one direction: to the past, to the tradition." Whether or not you are a fan of jazz or the analogy, music may be a helpful lens to think about different community practices. Some of music is objective, but much of it is subjective. The important question is whether or not it moves the listener, and that is a question each community and each individual needs to answer. What haunts us most may be how so few Jews even bother to ask such questions. As Friedman concludes his book, "It is tragic, yes, that American Jews have battled so bitterly, so viciously, over the very meaning of being Jewish. It is more tragic, perhaps, that the only ones fighting are the only ones left who care." The story of Jewish denominations, like jazz, is an open-ended one. We don't know where it might lead. Let's hope, wherever it leads, we get there together and never stop caring about these questions.